Hey, search analysis is the number one thing that will make or break your website. You can write the best content on the web, but without good search analysis, it means nothing. Here's a search analysis webinar of me doing search analysis with completely free tools and a sneak peek into the search analysis workflow. If you want the best search analysis possible, I recommend you read my detailed review into search analysis using paid tools that you can see there. My name is the London Nomad and it's my mission in life to make you financially free. So we're going to use a couple methods today. We're going to use SERPs, which is the Google search result. We're going to use a free tool called keywordtool.io. We're going to use Answer the Public. We're going to use Google Trends. And lastly, we're going to use competition websites in your niche in order to get an idea of the articles that you can write to drive traffic to your site. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the tool keywordtool.io. And don't worry, all these tools are going to be found in the description. So what you want to do is you want to search the general search term. So in this case, I'm searching Nintendo Switch. Then over to the right, you want to click United States. And for keyword suggestions, this is not going to give too much stuff if you don't give a very specific thing. So what we want to do is we want to head on over to questions and propositions. This is going to give us stuff that we can actually use and put into the SERPs. So what you want to do is immediately have a quick glance and see anything that jumps out to you that you could possibly write an article to. So for example, are Nintendo Switches allowed on airplanes? I have written an article on this recently, but let me just go to show. Switch allowed on planes. Now, no matter what tool you use, whether you use Ahrefs, whether you use all these things, you have to go through the SERPs. If you don't go through the SERPs, which is this one I'm showing you right now, you're going to miss out on tons and tons of useful questions from people who will also ask. So again, this is in Spanish, preguntas relacionadas, related questions. So as you can see here, you want to look for forums. So right now, is our Nintendo Switch allowed on planes? You can tell by just looking at it, there's not a lot of on-point articles specifically about this topic. Sí. No está bien. Can I bring my Nintendo Switch on a plane? So as you can see here, you want to click on the first result, see where it says, quickly estimate if you can create better content than this. So as you can see here, there's roughly maybe 500 words in this post. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this H2 and I'm going to put it into a notes app, which is called my hit list. It's not my true hit list, but it's more so just where I'm gonna get ideas to write the articles from. I have a main hit list that's called production line gaming. This is the stuff I'm definitely gonna write. But right now, I'm just gonna put it into my gaming hit list. It's not the easiest way. Boom, on Nintendo Switch, allowed on planes, I can write H2. And as you can see here, the preguntas relacionadas, related questions, you can quickly see if anything else jumps out to you. Is Switch good for travel, for example? You could write that. How to charge Nintendo Switch while traveling? Now, for every question you want to ask yourself, is it worth to write an entire article about it? You can write these little articles and put them under one big article, which is called a group query post. And I'm going to make more videos about this type of article later on down the line. As you can see here, can I charge my Nintendo Switch with a charge phone charger? Can I charge my Nintendo Switch without dock? Without dock, what is USB charging? Why is USB charging better? Anything like this are potential articles that you can write. What type of charging Nintendo Switch use? Can I use a power bank? Anything like that, anything related. These are all good questions you can write later on down the line. On Nintendo Switch loud on planes, can Nintendo Switch play DS games, for example? As you can see here, this is why it's good to have something like Ahrefs, or you can use something called Moz, which allows you to determine how much authority this site has. So for example, Game Answers. I've never seen this website before, but you want to ascertain Moz, so domain checker. So as you can see here, domain authority checker. Moz, this thing. just in case, I'm gonna just slap this domain there and see how much domain authority it has. Just to give an, as you can see here, the domain authority is 12. So I probably could outrank this. So you wanna compare this with the domain authority of your website, and obviously if your domain website ranks higher than this, maybe you could beat it. But always determine if it's worth it to write this, because this is a very niche question. You have to ask yourself the bottom of the pyramid questions. If you have a pyramid, the top of the base is going to have where most people search for this query. Can Nintendo Switch play DS games? Obviously that's more to the top of the pyramid, because not too many people are going to be concerned with whether or not the Switch can play DS games. Always, wherever you write, you want to think, what is the most questions that people are going to search for? You want to focus on that. So with this one, just using logic, I wouldn't write it just because I don't think it's really worth it. And also you want to see if there are different questions that are basically the same question rephrased. So for example, can Nintendo Switch play DS games? That's the same question, and let me look at the answer target. It is said that DS blah, 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 blah. But then, is it possible to play Nintendo Switch games? As you can see, it's a different search result, but it's the same question. Can I play DS games on the Switch? As you can see, there's all different answer targets for the same question, just rephrased differently. If you see this, then that's an indication of whether you should write the article, because if the article is coming up in many different times on the SERP, then obviously that means that Google is finding a need to answer these questions and phrasing it differently, which means that there's probably maybe 1,000 people searching for this term. So if you see a phrase that's repeated all the time, you want to stick with it, maybe even write it. And you got to think, even stuff like what happens if you put a 3DS game in a DS. Obviously that's not related to it, but then you could write that. Will DS games work on Nintendo Switch Lite? Can you play DS games? Is Nintendo Switch Lite worth it? All these are good ideas that you can write articles for. Never skip the SERPs, because if you skip the SERPs, you're doing yourself a gargantuan disfavor. Never skip the SERPs. So let's carry on looking through this tool. Let me just open propositions. Now this tool, as you can see, you can't use the search data. The search data is hidden, the competition. But the reason why this stuff's not important is because no matter what tool it is, it's gonna be inaccurate for 99% of the time. You know, I've searched my own queries in these tools and they give me the wrong information. The only way you're gonna know how many people search for these queries is if you rank number 1 for them or whatever number, and then you can see how many people search for it. So as you can see, a proposition is different. Our Nintendo Switch is sold out. One thing, never write something that isn't evergreen. You want your articles to be ranking number 1 or at least in the top 3 for 5 years minimum, around that time. Our Nintendo Switch is sold out. This is something where sometimes the answer is going to be yes, sometimes the answer is going to be no. It's not something substantial like what USB chargers can you use in Nintendo Switch. So don't write anything like that. Can Nintendo Switch Lite play on TV? Can Nintendo Switch play with PS4? Did Nintendo Switch outsold PS4? Again, this is a question that obviously it didn't outside PS4, but maybe it will change in the future. Does Nintendo Switch come with games? Do Nintendo Switch Pro controllers drift? Has Nintendo Switch ever been on sale? When should Nintendo Switch be back in stock? Never write a question like that. Never write a question that's going to be temporary, the answer to it. But I think I'm getting a lot more value in the questions. Come with games, have Call of Duty, being hacked, being discontinued. Is Nintendo Switch worth it? When should Nintendo Switch be back in stock? Should Nintendo Switch stock be stilled? And so sometimes you want to write questions that are extremely small, just because, you know, if it has 300, 400 people a month, but it takes you 20 minutes to write it, then obviously it's worth writing because it's simple. So for example, this one initially didn't seem like it's worth writing. Should Nintendo Switch box be sealed? Let's search this. As you can see here, wait. As you can see here, these are all forums. So, should I keep the box on my Nintendo Switch? These, obviously it's not going to be 1,000, but this could take me 20 minutes to write myself like that. So it's worth, I think, writing, because it's so small. It's such a small question. So for example, should Nintendo Switch boxes be sealed? Are Nintendo Switch boxes sealed? Should I keep the box for my Switch? The good thing is, if you find a low competition keyword, in this case, should Nintendo Switch box be sealed? The related questions are usually going to be low competition as well, because one of the related questions is low competition. So always keep that in mind. When you find one gold piece of keyword you can use, you're usually going to find several others because they're going to be interconnected. But then again, look, how can you tell if a game has been resealed? How do you know my PS1? Oof. Should I keep the box? Simple. Should Nintendo Switch be left plugged in? As you can see here, immediately, I don't see any questions that are immediately answering the question. What does that ring to you? It rings to you an opportunity. Never forget that. So as you can see here, nothing is on point. So am I gonna write this? Hell yeah, I'm gonna write this. Because I already know, because I've written many articles. Good thing about certain niches is, should Nintendo Switch be left plugged in? That keyword, root keyword, you can use for PlayStation 4. You can use it kind of place, should a PlayStation 4 be left in? Should a MacBook charger be left in? Should a TV be plugged in? All of these things can be used in other niches. You know, some of these keywords are always going to be relevant. And if one section of the niche, for example, Nintendo Switch, people are answering should it be left plugged in, then that means that likely other things are going to have that gap in the SERPs. So I'm not going to put this in my hit list. I'm going to put this into my production line. Stuff I will definitely write. Boom. He's leaving the Nintendo Switch docked bag. I can write that in. Boom. Anything that I can write in the same article, I'm just going to put under. Does Nintendo Switch overcharge? That's different. That's a different question. Be careful of putting related questions together. So, should Nintendo Switch be left plugged in? It's kind of related to does Nintendo Switch overcharge? Kind of related, but not completely the same question. Is it bad to play the Switch while charging? This is different. This is more like its own article, you know. So again, boom, gaming hit list, slap this there. Is it better to turn off use sleep mode? Again, I've written a PlayStation 4 article about this question. Can you overcharge Joy-Cons? None of these, when I do my actual ideation to, okay, what am I actually gonna write? I'm not gonna necessarily use everything I write down, but it's good to just jot down, just to have that quick reference point that you think, boom, I can use these articles. But then when you see one that's definitely good that you can write, that you can ascertain that it's gonna be worth writing, obviously you can put that in your main production hit list. Can you overcharge Joy-Cons? Can the Switch overheat? Can you overcharge Pro Controller? Anything that involves a product. So in this case, the Joy-Cons, the Pro Controller. You usually want to write these because they're going to have higher ad rates. Anything that's involving a problem with a product, like one of my best RPM posts for the gaming man is how to connect an Xbox One controller or problems with Xbox One controller, because this immediately involves a product where Microsoft, I think, have Mediavine ads. So Microsoft are going to pay a lot more selling and promoting the Xbox One controller on articles that are about problems with the Xbox One controller. You understand? As I can see here, can you overcharge? Nothing is on point. Does it mean I'm going to write this? Not necessarily, but it definitely means I'm going to write down in my ideation. So boom. And even then, both of these, can you overcharge Joy-Cons? Can you overcharge Switch Pro Controller? They're related. because if you own one of them, you could own the other, especially if you own the Pro controller. And then again, boom, can I leave my Nintendo Switch Pro plugged in? But whenever you see one of these and you see Digital Trends, like Digital Trends is a huge website with massive domain authority. I'm never, if ever, gonna go after topics that they have covered, even though it's not exactly on point. So for example, can I leave Nintendo Switch Pro controller plugged in? The answer target comes from how to get the article target title is how to get the most out of your Nintendo Switch Pro controller. It's not exactly on point, but because it has so much authority, I'm not gonna compete with it just because there's little chance I'm gonna succeed. Can you overcharge Nintendo Switch controllers? And when you see someone retro only, he's someone from Project 24. I can tell by the Akabado theme. If you see someone who's a competitor, that's not even close to a strong competitor in comparison to an authority website. So authority website, if you see a website repeatedly in your search, you know they're a huge website, they dominate the top search terms, they're gonna be hard competition that's difficult to beat. But a fellow blogger like you is a lot easier to defeat. Can I charge my Nintendo Switch controller overnight? Again, boom. I'm gonna slap it here. Now, if you have a niche that's very product related without a lot of competition, so for example with golf, the Amazon affiliate commission is 5%. With gaming, writing and selling a Pro controller is only gonna get me 70 cents because it's about $70, 1% of $70 is obviously 70 cents. It's not really worth it, me trying to push affiliate sales to this product. But if you were in a niche like home development where you can, or kitchen, whatever, where you can sell a fat commission that involves one of these products, then you should always write it because there's always an affiliate push in these articles, always. How long does it take to fully charge a Pro controller? Does a Pro controller drift? Can I use my Pro controller while charging? Is it bad? Should you turn off your Nintendo Switch? How long does a PS5 controller last? How do I turn off? Nintendo Switch thing, can I switch over here? Blah 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 blah. Nothing really that I can use. Should Nintendo Switch stay docked? I think I already wrote this, you know. But I want to copy and paste it. Does Nintendo Switch damage the Switch? Is it bad to leave the Pro controller plugged in? I'm gonna write that there. Anything that's related, put them next to each other in the notes, just to make it easier for you. Crap. Oh no, where's it gone? Oh yeah. You always want to look through these. Like I met someone who doesn't use Ahrefs and he's trying to produce content in scale. The problem is you're going to miss so much content. Always go through the SERPs. Nothing, no system, no tool is going to beat going through the SERPs. Nothing will. Like something like this, Pro analog. I'm still going to write this down, but that's a very, very niche question. Think about this here. This is a good example. Our Switch Pro controller triggers analog. Look, That is a stupid niche question. Because not only is it Nintendo Switch, then you go to Nintendo Switch Pro controller, then you talk about the analog sticks, then you're saying if it's the triggers are analog. That is extremely niche. There's probably 100 people max who are searching this a year. The more websites you create, the more search analysis you do, the more of a natural intuition that you can understand how many people search for this term. And I'm going to show you another method here. This is using Google Trends, just to give you an understanding of how popular a certain term is. So in my golf websites, I write a lot of articles that are, is X brand better than, is X brand a good golfing brand? Is Y brand a good golfing brand? So what you can do is you can use Google Trends to determine whether or not which is more popular to write an article for. So for example, Callaway, get rid of that. Top flight, Titleist. Titleist, boom, slap it there. I can just get rid of this. Get rid of this. As you can see, utilizing Google Trends, I can determine which company is more popular. And make sure you're in the States here. As you can see, I'm in the States. As you can see, Callaway has 67, the number they use. Titleist has 29. This makes, by logic, if the term was, is Callaway a good golf brand? You're gonna know that if you write that article and rank number 1, you're gonna get more than double the traffic with the same question, is Titleist a good golf brand? You understand? So whether, if you're unsure whether or not you should write a specific question about a specific brand, you can just search the brand in Google Trends and then you can ascertain and determine whether or not it's worth it to write the article. One of my articles is X brand good for golf. It has got, 600, 700 page views a month, which was surprising. So now, if I search that specific brand and compare it to one of the big brands in Callaway, Titleist, whatever, I can ascertain roughly how much search traffic I'm gonna get out of the same article because I know how much. So with the Nintendo Switch, let me use an example, yeah? So to determine the difference with the gaming article I will write, look, simple, yeah? If I write PS4 controller, search, I write PS5 controller, I write Xbox One controller, then I write, and this is the important one, Pro Switch. This one's a bit more awkward. Nintendo Switch Pro controller. As you can see, I have a detailed graph of the different controllers and how popular. As you can see, by far the most popular search term is PS4 Pro controller with 53. You have Xbox One controller being roughly half at 26, and then you have the PS5 controller, and finally you have Nintendo Switch at 3. So that means if you wrote an article about, my PS4 controller is disconnecting, blah, 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 and you're getting 1,000 page views for that, you can ascertain that if you write the same article for Xbox One, you're gonna get half that much. So it's really easy, like the question I just spoke about, are Nintendo Switch Pro controllers triggered analog? It's gonna be such a niche baby question, is aside from a group query post, is just, you don't even begin to be worth it to write that article. So Google Trends is a very powerful tool to ascertain the popularity of different topics to determine whether or not it's worth writing for you. Again, anything like which Nintendo Switch games are coming out in 2021, you don't want to write this, because in 2022, no one's searching that. It's about evergreen topics, stuff that has relevance, stuff that has longevity. With Nintendo Switch games, a pro player, I wrote a similar article. But anything like this, for example, is the NS30 Pro Plus comfortable? Now that's a controller for the Nintendo Switch. if the Amazon affiliate play or other affiliates was 5%, I would write this article simply because I'll get more money. But because the Amazon commissions are so low, it's not worth it for me to write an article like this, just because this gaming is just not worth it. Our switch control player is analog. As you can see here, our switch triggers analog. That's different because that's a lot more, it's less niche than our other question. I'm always gonna write down stuff that has, forums, like game facts. One thing you wanna do is, no matter what, any forum to do with your niche, you wanna write down. So right here, in my hit list, at the top, I would have ops, which is competition. And you write down, you'll write down competition websites in your niche. So boom, 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 boom. And then you write down forums, and you write down forums in your niche. This is extremely powerful when you want to use Ahrefs, which I'm going to explain using the paid content video, and how you use and not steal, but repurpose your ranking competitors' pages and produce a better piece of content than them. So always, no matter what, write down your competitors, because this is also a way for me and you to understand what they're writing. So let's use this example here. Retro Toonly is a competitor who's also a Project 24 member here. Retro Toonly. What's this guy's name? Next time when I find one of his articles, I'm gonna find it here. But as you can see here, let me try NF30 here. So I don't know how popular this search term is. So boom, I searched this. As you can see, it is stupid niche at 1, making it 53 times less popular than the PS4 controller. Now, outside from a very big search question like SN30 review, I'm not gonna write it just because it's so niche. Any niche questions about something that's already niche is gonna be stupid niche. So there's no point in writing it. But which Nintendo Switch games? Which Nintendo Switch games should I buy? Look, anything that's a long form question. So, best Nintendo Switch games. I'm never gonna write that because I'll never win. But you don't know, there might be some cracks with which Nintendo Switch game should I buy. That's about 6-7 words. The longer the question, the more likely you're gonna rank for it, simply because it's just a longer search term. Again, anything like this is just not worth it because it's too small. Which games use analog triggers? The GameCube triggers analog. Has drift. Exactly. Using this buyer's guide. This is another competition. One of my competitors here. So for example, this guy wrote, "Are PlayStation 4 buttons pressure sensitive?" You always want to look at your competitors and see what they're doing. So for example, this person gives buyer's guide. This is a tech website that talks about gaming and tech. So that could give you an idea, okay, I don't necessarily have to do a pure tech or pure gaming website. I can encompass them all under one umbrella. So giving you food for thought. As you can see here, you can see the different types of posts people write. So 16 reasons why your wireless headset keeps disconnecting. So you could be like, okay, 16 reasons why. That's a very popular blog template. Do graphics card help with Photoshop? Then you could write, okay, now I didn't know I could talk about graphics card and other elements that aren't just gaming. So you could write a note. You could write like a note here, as in ideas. You could write graphics card help with things not gaming, something like that. Or graphics card universal. Or card monitor is just a gimmick. 4 types of wireless mouses. Do wireless mouses lag? You just want to get ideas of what you can write. I don't mean you're gonna copy word for word what this person wrote, but you're just using information on what they wrote in order to draft your own articles. Kind of virus spread through HDMI, do wireless out. Here's the reason why gaming monitors are smaller, why blue light glass is yellow. Do routers make a difference? Anything, just get your ideation. Just get your ideation. Right here, boom, you can help here, that right here, he has help buyer's guides, he has helpful guides. So what's in his helpful guides? Okay, not much. But using, okay, it gives you a good idea of what sort of lead magnets you can use to entice email marketing to your blog. So if he has a page or a lead in where he's offering, he's saying, okay, boom, I'll give you this free PDF about PlayStation 5, like this guy called Career Gamers. careergamers.com. This is one of my main competitions. Oh, this ain't even the guy. So if this is Career Gamers, I can see that he's changed from Acabado to wherever this theme is. I don't actually like the theme. I think it's kind of ugly looking. But then it can make you understand, okay, maybe I need to change themes. This guy changed themes. But I do think this is worse because I can't find his lead magnet that I was trying to demonstrate. But boom, don't really matter. So popular, is a game controller the best for Smash? Blah, 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 blah. Do pro controllers. Again, you never want to write too niche. Too niche. Does it have a built-in mic? Where's the L bar on PS3? But be careful with Quora. Be very careful because sometimes Quora is a very good result for the search query. Like for example, you look at here, where's the L button on the PS5? Yeah. I mean, I can see. Let me just eat my words, car. That was the question was, where's the L button on the PS5 or the PS4? So overnight charging bad. Again, anything like Preola, OLED, you don't know, right? Now, when Nintendo Switch doesn't turn on, that's a question. Again, anytime you see a big question for an authority site, in this case business site, stay away, my friend. Stay away, because you're not going to win this. You're not going to win this. You will always lose, simply because it's too much of a search query. Now, I'm going to tell you where these things are. This raffle. I'm going to try and remember. Oh, here it is. It's called Keywords Everywhere, I think. So this can give you a good explanation, It gives you related keywords from the keyword that you're currently looking at. So, long tail keywords. What do you do when your Nintendo Switch doesn't turn on? I can try that out, see what that's saying. Oh, shit. What do you do on Nintendo Switch? Again, sadly, there's a lot of competition for this. Start again. How do you fix in the Nintendo Switch? How do you force reset a Nintendo Switch? Was a hard reset on Nintendo Switch? Again, the Droid guy. Board game tips. How do you hard reset? What happens if a factory reset? Is there a reset button? Blah 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 blah. I'm gonna show you another free method here. It's called Answer the Public. AnswerThePublic.com. Yeah, boom. So here it's a similar thing. You just write down. So in this case, always you want to go to the States. You want to write down. In this case, I'm gonna write Xbox Series S, maybe. Xbox. I'm just gonna write Xbox. Boop. And here it's going to give you questions, it's going to give you propositions, and it's going to give you comparisons. Yeah, and you always want to click the data view simply because it's a lot more useful. Are Xbox servers down? Are 360 blah blah blah? Can Xbox and PS3 play together? Or Xbox is the newest? Blah 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 blah. Xbox who wants to be a millionaire? Will Xbox Live be free? Again, data. Xbox, can you refund games? Let's just check one of these ones. But I believe that keyword tool is a lot better, because the problem with this one, Answer the Public, is there's only so many times you can use it before they say, boom, big man, you gotta pay. You only have a certain amount of free searches every day. But what you can do is you can use ExpressVPN And all you need to do is you need to change your IP. So for example, I would just connect to Japan, refresh, and boom, I'll be able to do it as many times as I want. And then when I search it too many times, boom, change the IP again. So if you want to get ExpressVPN for the best possible price, please take a look at the link in the description. But I'm going to stick with this one just because I think it's more useful. I don't actually think this has a limit. Oh, Nintendo Switch is worth it. Which Nintendo Switch Pokemon again? Which Nintendo Switch games are... Right. Nope. How many Joy-Cons? Wait. Okay. Where's my PS4 stuck on a black screen? And you always, one thing I didn't mention I should have, always have your browser be in incognito. Now this is true if you're doing YouTube search analysis or Google search analysis. Otherwise, Google is going to use your cookies, and because you've always searched your website, for example, it's going to put your website high on the SERPs when it's not high on the SERPs. It's just because it's going to use your data and your location and utilize that information to show you the SERPs, which you don't want. You want a general depiction of the SERPs. Again, boom, delete that. How many Joy-Cons do I need for 2 players? Look, here I have to be careful, yeah. Again, I see all, I see quite a weak search result. But the number 1 is Nintendo. This is a big problem. Usually when you write something, you want it to be 1 or 2, usually 1. Because Nintendo will never lose this SERP, I probably won't write it. Because as you can see, it's not like you have, boom, you have the answer target, then you have the other queries. You have the answer target, then you have the other questions you might ask, and then you have the other results. So what this means is is a search term that's kind of obvious in it. So for example, the answer with this, you'll be able to play select games for up to 2 players. How many Joy-Cons do you need for 2 players? You'll be able to purchase. This actually is a reasonably weak result because they didn't answer the question. How many Joy-Cons do you need for 2 players? Obviously the answer is 2, but they didn't answer. But then, as you can see, I'm not gonna write a whole article about this one question, but otras preguntas de los usuarios, other questions that you can use. So boom, I'm gonna write this. I'm just gonna write how many Joy-Cons do I need for 2 players? Boom. And again, I'm going to use the other preguntas de los usuarios. Question of the day, do I need 2 sets of Joy-Cons? Again, you don't really have to, in my opinion, look at the Moz domain rating of some of these queries. The answer, do I need 2 sets of Joy-Cons? They don't answer it. If the answer target does not answer the question, it means you can write it because it doesn't answer the question, you understand? So boom, I'm gonna write, do I need 2 sets of Joy-Cons? And if you all finding value in this video, please like, because it helps it spread to more people, my guy or girl, usually more likely guy. Do you need 2 Joy-Cons for Mario Kart? Again, this is gonna be called a group query post. Any sort of thing, any query that's too small to write an individual article on. Obviously, do you need 2 Joy-Cons for Mario Kart? What you're gonna do is you're gonna write an H1 that encompasses all these posts, like the complete guide to how many Joy-Cons you need for the Switch. And in each H2, you're gonna answer a question like, do I need 2 sets of Joy-Cons? Do you need 2 Joy-Cons for Mario Kart? Can 2 people play 4 Joy-Cons? Any questions like that are too small for one answer. So boom, I'm gonna write these. Now, I highly recommend after this you watch my paid search analysis video, because one thing you can't get back in life is time. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you waste $100, you can make that back. You can't make back 2 hours of your life, even that. So if you can use a paid search tool like keyword chef that you can read my review, it's going to save you so much time, because I would have found maybe I would have found probably 30% more queries than I found in this hour, you know what I'm saying? And that saves me a lot of time. So again, boom. But it doesn't mean that you can't use these free tools illustrating, especially the SERPs, and find a lot of queries. As you can see here, I found definitely a couple articles that I will write about. Do you need 2 Joy-Cons for Mario Kart? Can 2 people play 5 Joy-Cons? As you can see here, look at the giant, juicy, maybe 12 articles I could write, or 12 subheadings, all from one query. If you're just using Ahrefs and you're not actually in the trenches and looking at these SERPs, then you're gonna miss these things. You understand? How many Joy-Cons do I need? Now, something like that, how many Joy-Cons can I need? I don't think that that's going to be a big question. But then, of course, I can I can utilize the method I just showed you, and I can write Joy-Con, and see how much. And again, you can see how small Joy-Con is. So it's obviously not going to be worth writing an article like this. Like, how many Joy-Cons do I need? That's a lot more of a detailed question than do you need 2 Joy-Cons for Mario Kart, because that's just yes or no. Yes, you do. If you want to play 2 players, you need 2. How many Joy-Cons do I need? You're going to have to, it's more of a detailed question. You could say if you want to play with 4 players, obviously you need 4. If you only need 1, if you're only going to play single player games, you could use 1 or you could use 2. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a convoluted question. But that still means I'm going to write it just because it relates to the question. Because the reason why you write these group query posts is it gives you more authority under Google, because Google can see, boom, this website's answered everything about Joy-Cons. I'm going to give it more authority and more likely to rank on these adjacent search terms because it's the authority on Joy-Cons. Again, career gamers, that's the guy I just saw. I'm still going to write these things. How many Joy-Cons do I need for 3 players? I'm still gonna write these things because they might have, a pathetic 50 people a month searching, but everything in conjunction with each other could be more than 1,000. And our aim under Project 24, see the review of the course that changed my life there, you always wanna have at least 1,000 hits per article. That's the aim. You're more than likely not gonna reach that, but you can definitely try and reach that. Again, I'm still going to write that. Can you play Nintendo Switch without Joy-Cons? Oh, yes. How many Joy-Cons? To see a question like this, how many Joy-Cons can you use at once? You can see that one of the biggest websites on the internet, Wikipedia, has answered it. Even if it's not completely on point, in this case it is, I'm not gonna write and compete with Wikipedia. You're never gonna beat Wikipedia. How do you play 2-player? Can you use Nintendo Switch? Do you need Joy-Cons? As you can see, look how many. There's about 50 questions here. So you can't afford to miss this, my brother, huh? You cannot afford to miss it, huh? Okay. This was combo. How long do Joy-Cons last? Is Brawlhalla 2? Can you smash online with 2 players? Will controllers work with switches? Or why Nintendo Switch was good? It's supposed to be worth it. How many controllers do you need for Super Smash Bros? Again, I'm gonna put that here. How many gigs Fortnite? How many Joy-Cons do you need? Can 8 people play on the Switch? La di da di da di da di blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? You still want to have a look at these search terms just cause you don't know how useful they're gonna be. And so I'm just gonna move the cable so I can see how many minutes I've recorded. Can I do knockoff Joy-Cons work? The wire controllers drift, would it be a Smash 6? Is Smash Ultimate the last game? Smash Ultimate dead. How many games can Nintendo Switch hold? Do you need 40 Joy-Cons for Mario Kart Party? Again. Because, look, I hope one thing you have to understand by this video, yeah, is search analysis is not an easy thing. Search analysis is the #1 thing you can do to ensure your website is going to succeed. Now, you can use the Project 24 method that I'm not going to divulge to make sure that all your search terms that you're going to write are going to be at least 5,000 hits a month. You can do that and be very meticulous and make sure every single post you write is going to hit big. Or you could use the group query method like I've demonstrated to just write a decent article that's meant to hit 1,000 hits a month. As you can see here, the more down you go, the more unrelated they are to the first question. Like for example, is Kirby a girl or boy? That has nothing to do with the question that I found these things from. How do you play? Do Nintendo Switch take SD cards? Do you need 2 Joy-Cons? Can dropping your controller cause blah blah? Can you smash local multiplayer? Where's the largest memory card? Blah blah blah. Why is Nintendo's DualShock so expensive? Again, I recognize this guy, so I'm gonna have a look at what they've written. So here you can see retro only. These guys written about arcade machines, pinball machines, retro music, retro gaming, and obviously stuff with the Nintendo Switch. Does Nintendo Switch like come with a game? Do you need a memory card for Nintendo Switch? The Nintendo Switch Pro controller work with Apple TV? As you can see, look, your websites can be a lot more broad than you think. You know, my man's writing about arcade machines and he's writing about what does Nintendo Switch Online do. It's a very broad thing. So don't be pigeonholed and think, okay, boom, I'm writing about gaming, I can only write about gaming. But the problem is if you don't have sufficient interlinking, then it's a bit difficult. So for example, yeah, he needs to have written a lot of content on arcade machines. As I can see, he hasn't really written too much content. So the problem with, like, I've written stuff about PC paraphernalia on the Gaming Man. But the problem is, if I don't have topics that I can link to, because interlinking is paramount. Nothing's more important. Well, one of the most important things for your website is interlinking. If you don't have interlinking, it's going to be a lot more difficult in order to rank. So I could write about an arcade machine because my name's a Gaming Man. But unless I produce at least 20, 30 articles to write, I have nothing to link to it. So there's no point. Stick to my niche. Again, I'm going to go back. What games are free on the Nintendo Switch? Is Mario Kart free on the Nintendo Switch? Anything to do with free is going to have low ad rates in comparison to products, because obviously they're less likely to spend money online if they're looking for free games, because they likely don't have as much money. Look, it's all about consumer intent. If someone's like, you know, what are the best games for Nintendo Switch, they're going to get paid a lot more than someone who's writing what is the best free game for Nintendo Switch, because they're trying to save that money. Again, I've only found, what is the normal price for Nintendo Switch? How do I get a free Nintendo Switch? Which Nintendo Switch is the best to buy? Anything like that is good because it shows clear consumer intent, because they're looking to purchase the Nintendo Switch, and that's very good for ad rates. So, what Nintendo Switch is the best to buy? As I can see here, Best Buy is coming up because, you know, Google's confusing the best to buy with Best Buy. So it's likely I'm not gonna write this, but you don't know. Why Nintendo Switch not connecting to TV? Oh, actually. Why Nintendo Switch not connected to TV? As you can see with this one here, this one I probably will write because the main search term, the main answer target is black screen or no image displayed on screen. So it's not exactly answering the question perfecto. And as you can see here, how to fix Nintendo, how to connect Nintendo Switch, help. This is, I would probably write this. And it's reasonably big on the pyramid because, look, Nintendo Switch is not a big niche, but Nintendo Switch connecting to a TV, problems with TV, it's likely a lot of people have experienced this problem in comparison to Nintendo Switch Pro analog is not working. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a niche thing. So again, I'm gonna search this. It's not working. What is it? Doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna write it, but I'm still gonna look for it. I'm still gonna analyze. Boom, is it worth it? Boom, boom, boom. Will Nintendo Switch OLED be hard to get? Again, anything that's relating to something that has happened. So obviously Nintendo Switch is already out, the OLED, and it's going to be hard to get, so don't answer that question. How much will Nintendo Switch be on Black Friday? You don't want to write anything like that. Again, I've exhausted all these questions. But again, you could write anything. You could write PS4 controller. I haven't really experimented too much with this, but as you can see, you can search through Google, you can search through Bing, you can use it for YouTube search analysis. All this is for free, and this is comparable with paid tools that you pay a considerable amount of money on. So again, with the PlayStation 4 or PS4 controller compared with PS5, all the paid stuff, search volume trend, it means nothing. So, you know, it's okay to have the free version. Should Nintendo Switch be sealed? Where should Nintendo Switch restock? Which Nintendo Switch to buy? Which Nintendo games are cross-platform? Which ones are player? Split screen. Is Animal Crossing split screen? How do you play Nintendo Switch? Animal Crossing free. None of these scream out to me like a fantastic arc. I want to see the paid guide to search analysis, and I highly recommend you do, because it's just going to save you time. All this time that if it's 50% faster than doing these free methods, you can use all that time to either create a YouTube channel or to write blog posts. The similar video of me writing a blog post from start to finish, and I'm gonna walk you through the entire process and how I write it. Please take a look at the video. If I find value in this video, please like, because it helps spread to more people. I'm the London Nomad. It's my mission in life to make you financially free. Goodbye.